The SNP government's top civil servant destroys the Nicola Sturgeon evidence, and the SNP government are to finally release their legal advice on the Alex Salmond inquiry. Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's first program. We have the latest update on the SNP cover-up. It's not only just a scandal, at this point it's a massive cover-up. Just before we start the show, 8 p.m. we're going to have a big video on the BBC and the license fee. We have some update from the government. And at 9 p.m. we have a big announcement about this channel. So make sure to tune in both at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. UK time. Now, let's go to the Scottish Sun, who reported that the head of civil service in Scotland may have destroyed the notes of meeting between Sturgeon and Leslie Evans. This is actually quite weird because so this person, the head of civil service, apparently every single time she has some sort of meeting, she takes notes, she writes them down, and then straight after the meeting she destroys them for some reason. So at least she's trying to be consistent when it comes to her incompetence. But she says that usually it's normal. That she actually admitted under oath that she destroys all of her notebooks and might have done so with the notes from a summit with the First Minister that the Tories have branded secret. What's the point of taking notes when you're destroying it afterwards? I don't really understand, and I don't think that should be formal procedure for a top civil servant. But her comments were made during a behind closed doors court hearing when Mr. Salmond was seeking to get evidence held by the Scottish government. So the transcript actually that's been seen by the Scottish Sun has now raised more questions about the further the controversial meeting that happened between the head of civil service and the First Minister in the days after the two women first made allegations against Alex Salmond. This was back in 2017. Now, Nicola Sturgeon says that she had no idea about any of it until April 2018. And so this meeting that happened a year before, again, Leslie Evans says that, I'd usually just destroy all my notes from meetings, and I may have just done that about that sort of specific time. I mean, why? Again, is anyone going to be asking these questions? Because we have the opposition parties coming out to say this is not normal behavior, unless she's the sort of person that does a lot of cover-ups and she just destroys all the evidence. What's the point of taking the notes down then? So Alex Salmond is now obviously getting ready to come back with more allegations against the Sturgeon's government. And when the head of civil service, Leslie Evans, was asked how quickly she tends to destroy her notebooks, she actually replied, sometimes it's immediate, very soon. Sometimes it depends on the notebook. Well, it depends on how it looks. It depends on the day and the weather. I'm not really sure what she's thinking, but this doesn't sound like normal behavior, especially when it comes to someone who's actually at the head of the civil service. Now, all the opposition parties are coming out to lash out against this sort of behavior. We had the leader of the Scottish Tories, Douglas Ross, who said that this secret meeting between the First Minister and Leslie Evans was no formal chat. It was an arranged meeting at a crucial moment. Exactly, because this development resulted in costing the taxpayers over £500,000, and the destruction of evidence means that we may never know what Nicola Sturgeon knew and when exactly. We even had Jackie Baillie from the Labour Party, who's part of this inquiry, actually saying that if this allegation is true, then Leslie Evans has further serious questions to answer. Well, true. And actually, again, Jackie Baillie points out that this is not normal when it comes to the practice of most civil servants that keep records of important meetings, particularly meetings with ministers, and specifically the First Minister of Scotland. And we even had Alex Cole-Hamilton from the Liberal Democrats saying that it's been a source of frustration for this inquiry, that information that could have actually come out over this investigation have been destroyed. The records have been destroyed. And again, Scottish Sun has been reporting it. Where is the BBC News? Where is Sky News? Where are all these guys? Where's Channel 4? Absolutely nothing today about this on the mainstream media. We're still waiting for them to properly cover this, unless they still think that Scottish politics is irrelevant when it comes to the United Kingdom. Now, the same Scottish government is now being forced to finally release the legal advice that they had on this Alex Salmond case at the time. John Sweeney, the Deputy First Minister, who's now been facing a vote of no confidence tabled by the Conservatives for today, yesterday they came out and said, fine, we're going to release the legal advice. This is the legal advice that apparently actually told the Scottish government that you're going to have to waste a lot of taxpayers' money on a case that you're going to be losing anyway. Are you sure you want to do this? And they say that Nicola Sturgeon has said, yes, let's do it. So if this comes out, it doesn't really look good for the government. And now the Tories said that the advice should be published for everyone to see, and they wouldn't really lift the threat of no confidence vote until they have seen the whole thing, and that John Sweeney has actually disclosed it all. So yeah, it's true. And Douglas Ross has said that the Deputy First Minister is not in the clear yet. Don't give him time. He has to actually prove that he wants to cooperate at this point. The cover-up needs to stop, because apparently it came out that John Sweeney didn't even try to release this legal advice until his own job was on the line recently. This is actually quite embarrassing for not just the people at the top of the Scottish government, but the whole of the SNP establishment, because when you have the government's top law officer, the Lord Advocate, coming out to say that, well, they didn't even ask me. It said ministers hadn't even decided that we should release this document. Is it even in the public interest? He wasn't even asked for months and months. And only recently, again yesterday, it was that the Scottish government have told their own legal team to finally do it. So it's not that the legal team were trying to cover it up. Apparently, they didn't even request it from them. So this whole thing is quite out of control at this point. And it's no longer just about Nicola Sturgeon lying to the Parliament. It's also everyone, including her own husband, including her own deputy, and Leslie Evans, the head of civil service. They're all involved. And there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. As usual, I'll keep you guys posted, because when it comes to these votes, when it comes to forcing the establishment to release these sort of things, the media aren't really covering it because they've already voted twice to do this. On the 4th of November, members of the Scottish Parliament voted 63 to 54 to release the document. On the 25th of November, 65 to 55, it actually went up to release the advice. They still didn't, because John Sweeney thought that we could just avoid it because there was no scrutiny from the media. And people forgot about it for a couple of months. Now it's escalated because the Conservatives in Scotland have tabled the motion of no confidence. So John Sweeney is now freaking out, and now they're being forced to finally do this. Now, Nicola Sturgeon's popularity is going down, so she's trying to find ways to spin this whole thing to become liked and loved by the people of Scotland and the UK in general. So she's come out with this news. She's now stated that it might be possible to accelerate the exit from the lockdown due to positive data. The same Nicola Sturgeon, until yesterday, every press briefing she was using to just focus on the negative parts, and all the stats were bad. Everything was, oh, by the way, it wasn't really her fault. It was always Westminster's fault. It was always England, and it was always everybody else. So she never took any responsibility. She kept using the negative data when it came to new cases and everything else. Now she's saying, oh, I just had a look at the data. It's looking positive. So if you guys want to end the lockdown sooner, maybe even before England, so I could become Queen Nicola again, I might consider it. So this is your First Minister, people of Scotland. So hopefully, again, with this scrutiny that's finally started in the Scottish Parliament and the local press in Scotland, she could actually face the serious questions that she needs to answer. Now, in today's segment of News in Your World, one of our subscribers, Anne, sent us an email about her husband. Anne's husband, George, recently was going through cancer treatment, and it was a tough period, like most cancer patients. In order for him to stay positive, Anne decided to buy him a small puppy. And this dog actually became really smart, really clever, to learn to be almost like humans. So this is actually quite interesting because firstly, the treatment gone well, so thank God for that. But we also have a clip of this tiny dog who's now learned to open and close doors, because apparently Anne says that Anne and George, they're both in their 80s and they don't really want to get up and get out of their chair to keep opening the door for the dog. So she actually has learned to, when she comes in, to actually close the door as well. So watch this. That's absolutely brilliant. They always say some dogs are actually smarter than humans. So I'm glad that George and Anne are doing well. So if you guys also want to have a chance to be featured in News in Your World, share us your positive stories. Send us an email to lacey@mytousi.co.uk, and as usual, don't forget, if there are any photos or videos related to the story, attach them to the email as well, and we'll try to feature them on this channel. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.